So, Bissell, Bissell, Bissell. Why so many Bissells? Well, it started with this big green power brush over here. A friend of mine picked that up for me. I got my hands on it. I finally got to use one after years, and I wasn't super impressed with it, mostly because of its poor pickup ability. And then this one popped up for a decent price, but it was a while away. So after doing a part-time gig, I made a fairly long journey out to pick this up, and Google AI led me astray because, I was looking for something with a dual stage motor in it since this had a single stage in it. So it's like I was aware because of schematics that the 1672 had a single stage and the 1671 had a dual stage. So I just typed in, Bissell 1671 versus 1672, and what Google AI told me was that the 1672 was 220 volts, so it was European. So it's like, oh, okay, so I have nothing to worry about. So I ventured out and went and got this Bissell over here, and I got it home. It's a single stage because it is a 1672 and it's 120 volt. It's like, ugh. So then I bought this one. Now, I've actually done a motor swap, or it's more than a motor swap, and I'll show you guys that in a bit. But I bought this 1671 because it had the dual stage motor in it. Now, I'm actually not sure if the motor in here is original, or the motor that was in here, I should say, it was original to here. Because the photos I've seen for the motor, and the used motors I have seen, except for one for a power steamer, all have a metal back plate, but this one's plastic. It also has a different plastic shroud. It's more the typical Amtech, as to where most of the Bissell ones have this weird gray kind of squarish shroud. So I still don't know what's going on with the motor that's currently in this thing, but in working on these things, I discovered more differences to them than I really realized, because despite the 1672 and the big green power brush having a single stage motor, I was going to kind of do a comparative airflow test on them, but I discovered that the two single stages are in fact not the same, because the 1672 motor runs at about 1200 watts, and the one in the big green power brush runs about 850-ish, somewhere around there. And I'm guessing it's because they didn't want to go over 12 amps, because I did test the power brush. It runs at about 160 watts loaded. The solution pump runs at about another 60. So it's like we have, 320 watts plus, 800 something. I mean, realistically, it could have ran at about, 1,000 watts and it would have been fine. But I suppose, maybe under some circumstances they might be drawing a little bit more electricity even. I don't really know. But they did put a lower amperage motor into the big green power brush. So then it's like, well, I can't just run the two of them, but have stumbled across, multiple differences that I was totally unaware of. So I'm going to go over some of this, and I'll try to keep it fairly short. Okay, so this was the one that was in the 1671. I did a swap on it and put the, I had to change this base piece and the motor out in order to get the dual stage into the 1672 body. So it and the big green power brush have a very similar style on the outside. But on the inside of here, there's a raised lip. So this is on the inside of it, to make up for the space lost by using a single stage motor. And then this is from the 1672. And as you can see, it's got a lower profile to it than the other two. And because it has a lower profile, it actually uses a different float cage. The one on the right's taller. That was the one from the 1672. So, little differences to these things that, I was totally unaware of, and I'm actually a bit surprised that Bissell did this, because it would have been cheaper, to create one mold and just keep reusing it, but instead we have, 3 different molds. at least for the lower plate. The aside from the cutout, well, I suppose, you know, cutouts on the big green power brush, I mean, everything is pretty much the same. And this piece broke, snapped right off. But yeah, it's the same other than that. I mean, the upper motor plate is the same on it. The shells are pretty much the same, at least between these two. And interestingly, in talking to Joel, it was thought that these older big greens, which have kind of a lighter color to them and have a different logo, I'll show you what the logo looks like. Now, we thought those were the 1671s, and those would have, you know, the dual motor in them, but there was an eBay listing for one which had the new style logo, which had the dark color, and it was still a 1671. So clearly that doesn't hold up. Okay, so we're gonna do the electrical test in a row here. So with there being 3 machines here, and right now I have the 1672 motor on there, I am going to add captions in editing just so we can keep these straight. Because like I said, you know, these two have changed motors, you know, so this doesn't have the single stage it originally had, this doesn't have the dual stage it originally had. Because, you know, I wanted the dual stage, but it's whatever. So we're going to start off with electrical testing. And I'm just testing the suction motors because you shouldn't run a pump motor dry. Even these oscillating pumps, but still, you shouldn't do it. So. Okay, so this one has a different end on it too, because this has a male end here as to where the other two have a female end. So I'm not using that same stub because it doesn't really fit with this. All right. Yeah, it probably doesn't help any of their cases, you know, that there is no sort of seal between, you know, the buckets and the heads on any of them. I mean, I would imagine well, actually, I know they can do more. Because I did put the suction tester to the fan case here, and it got around 60-ish. But, I mean, it's getting barely over 40. But, you know, no seal, so it's just plastic on plastic. What do you expect? Okay, I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't want to sit here and take measurement after measurement after measurement. So I'm going to measure at the end of the hose, and I'm going to try to measure at the end of the nozzle. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Power nozzle one, I will try, but I don't think it's going to work very well. So I'm going to get to it. And we're going to start off with the two-stage motor in the 1671. That's in the 1672 body. And finally, the power brush model. I can't guarantee that this is going to go well because, you know, it's such a small space, and I'm hoping that, you know, I have kind of things seated here as to where it doesn't pull the tape under it like it did with that shark, at least the first time I tried measuring its nozzle. But still, we'll just have to see how this goes. Well, if I was going to question any head's ability to seal to the box, it would be this one. It's, you know, just so different. Now, I'm not going to run it with the brush roll on because all that's going to do is scrape up my my foam rubber seals. So hopefully I have a good seal on this, but I can't really tell.